Hello everyone, welcome to Living Positive San Antonio, LPSA. Today is September 29th, 2020. Tonight's subject is going to be sexual assault. I want to let everybody know that this is a very sensitive subject. There's going to be some adult language I'm sure you use. So give you a heads up if you have children in the area, you might want to usher them out of the area because there could be some strong language. Also, because we know this is a pretty sensitive subject, want to let you know that we have posted on our Living Positive page some crisis numbers if you need to. There's the Crisis Care Center, there's the Center for Healthcare Services. Those both are here in San Antonio, so there will be San Antonio numbers. I've also posted the number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I will say I didn't put this number on there. I don't know if it's available in our area right now, but you can use the 3-digit code of 988 when dialing. And that's only if it's available here in this area. I'm not sure if it is, but I did post the 800 number. And also I posted the number for the National Sexual Assault Hotline also. Again, remember, we realize this can be a tricky subject. So please, if you have an issue with it, or if you start feeling a crisis, please contact one of those numbers. I want to give y'all some quick numbers on COVID. We are actually in the very low segment. It's just outlined. I guess they're really low. So actual numbers are, of course, we have a 2-week decline, which is safe. Our testing capacity is safe. Our contact tracing is safe. Hospital trends are steady. Our double rating is down, so it's safe. Our positivity rate is moderate, and our hospital stress is steady. There's a total of 469 deaths. There are 162 deaths under investigation. We've had a total of 57,677 total cases. I want to point out, I think this 469 includes a backlog of cases as well. We have 1,135 confirmed deaths. I will also note that over the last week, we've had anywhere from 0, I believe the most I've seen is 3, maybe 4, so per day. So we've come down quite a bit on the deaths. 230 are hospitalized, 81 are ICU patients, and 29 patients are on ventilators. And so we're ready to start. We're going to start with, do you want to start us off, Wayne, or shall I, or?
I'm messaging someone back real quick again.
Okay.
You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. It's actually the first time that I've actually publicly talked about my situation. When I was 20, I was a sophomore in college, and I always say I was raped by 3 men. Actually, only 1 man raped me. The other 2 men actually held me down while he raped me. And for me, it was very traumatizing. I spent a 1.5 years literally closeting myself away from the world. And there were plenty of signs when I was raped by these gentlemen that something was going on other than, some gentlemen just offering to invite me over to have a drink or two. There was a constant push by them to have me drink. I mean, everything from beer to vodka to whatever. And I'm not much of a drinker. Even then, I was not a drinker in any way, shape, or form. So, I had my beer and I was nursing that 1 beer along. So I didn't want anything else to drink. And I wasn't going to go that what I had. They wanted me drunk. And I didn't want to be drunk. And also, I was the only young person there. These other 3 gentlemen were. There was one that was in his 60s, the other 2 were probably in their mid to late 50s.
And how old were you?
I was 20 years old. I was a sophomore in college. Actually, between my freshman and sophomore year, actually. And I was also told that there'd be probably 4 or 5 other young men my age within a year or 2 that would be there. And so, I went. And of course, I showed up and found no one there. That should have been the first signal that something was wrong, right there, because I was the only one there. course, I've never done drugs at that point in time. I'd never done, I mean, I hadn't even done pot. And yet they wanted, they had everything you could think of. I mean, they had coke, they actually had heroin. I mean, meth was something that I actually didn't hear about until I was older. So if they had it there, I don't know that it was there.
Meth was commonly referred to as rush, speed.
Well, since they actually did have some speed, so I would believe that that was probably there. And again, I had never done drugs, and of course they wanted me to do that. And I mean, there were plenty of signals that said something was wrong. I needed to get up and leave this party.
But you stayed.
I'm sorry, what was that?
But you stayed.
But I stayed. And that was just, I don't know if that was my inexperienced youth, or it was, I would just kept thinking, well, okay, eventually these other young guys are going to show up.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to leave a party?
Yeah.
Especially at that age, you're 20 years old, you're really just getting your first experience.
That's right. And I was. I've never been much of a social butterfly. You know, I've always, so when I get invited to things, it's like, yeah, I'll go. And especially then, it's like, oh, yeah, nobody's really invited me out to a party before, so I'll go. And again, like I said, I was really inexperienced in terms of socialization. And of course, I had just started college, and I was learning how to socialize with other people. I've always been one of these keep to myself people. Anyway, after about an hour, they decided, and remember, one of the gentlemen there actually kept his hand on my shoulder, kind of like to hold me down almost. I mean, because he actually was using pressure to kind of keep me down. And at the time, I thought, well, this guy just has a crush on me. He wants to really hold on to me tight. I mean, it's like, okay. No, that's not what he was doing. And finally, it got to the point where they started saying, well, do you like to suck dick? Do you like to bend over and take it up? This is the exact words. I remember this in German's words. It was the German who actually read it. He says, do you like to bend over and take it up? It's all right. And I thought, no, and I don't think that I want to, you know? And the guy said, oh no, you really need to try that sometime. I said, well, sometime maybe in the future, but not right now. And one of the other gentlemen started literally undressing. He took off his shirt and started playing with his nipples, and he actually looked at me and said, does that do anything to you? And I thought, no, actually it didn't. Because these were gentlemen, I was 20 years old, and these were gentlemen who were in their 50s and 60s. And I understand that there are people out there that are attracted to older people like that. When I was 20, I was not. I had no desire to be with a 50, 60, 65-year-old man.
But you knew that you were gay, correct?
Yes, I knew I was gay. And I already had a couple of sexual relationships. These gentlemen, and I knew these gentlemen were gay also. One of the reasons I went was because I believed that there would be other young gay men there and would give me a chance to socialize with other young gay people. So that was another reason for me attending, and probably another reason why I stayed beyond the point of when I thought I really shouldn't be here. I went ahead and stayed because I thought eventually there were going to be other young guys there. Anyway, they wanted to control me, and when they started controlling me, I said, it's time for me to leave. And that's when one of the gentlemen grabbed me, literally put my arms behind me, and with his arm, I can't do that now, and held me, and he had me, there's a hold, I can't remember how he had me, and he said, you're not going anywhere. You're going to give it up to us, and we're going to take it. And it's like, I kind of like froze. I just wasn't like, what do I do? And basically I didn't do anything, really. I just laid there. No, I didn't lay there. I was held there. Because two other gentlemen literally, one of them put both of his elbows in my shoulders, and the other gentleman had me by the head, holding me down. And then the third gentleman who actually raped me, took off my pants, took off my underwear. I could feel him spitting into my hole. And then I saw him pick up, I don't know if it was lube or if it was some other, could have been Vaseline, but he picked up a tube of something. And I mean, he wasn't even slow or gentle. He just rammed it into my body and said, "You're gonna love this." And I just cried. I mean, I actually cried while he was doing it. And when he got through, he got off and said, "Don't go anywhere. We're going to have another round in a few minutes." And that was no joke, because the other two gentlemen kept holding me down. I guess the guy needed some time to get an erection again. And he went at it for a second time. And physically, I hurt like hell. I bled. Emotionally, though, that was probably the most difficult thing that I went through. Because I spent literally a year and a half in fear of other people, period. I mean, I could not, even when I went out to the grocery store to go grocery shopping, I couldn't stand to have anybody within 10 feet of me. I would freak out. I would literally turn around and run out of the grocery store because I could not handle that.
So you had developed a post-traumatic stress disorder?
Yeah, I did, and
which is extremely common.
Everybody knew something was wrong. My friends, my family, and they would always say, "Well, what's wrong with you? You're not being yourself. You're not getting out like you used to." I mean, I would go. The only thing I would do is I would wake up in the morning, go to my classes, get through with my classes. I'd go home to my apartment. If I had to go buy food, I'd go to the store, come right back, and I would not leave my apartment or my dorm for 18 months. It was at least 18 months. And when I finally did start getting out, it took literally 6 more months of my friends coaxing me to go places before I even felt comfortable being in a public place, being around other people. And even then, I still wanted that distance between me and another person. If somebody even reached out to, shake my hand, I would recoil and back away. It's like, I don't want to touch you. I don't want you touching me. And unless you've been through something like that, I really don't know how to describe how it makes you feel. For me, I felt dirty when I got home that night. I didn't just shower once. I probably showered 15, 20 times, trying to wash away the dirty feeling that I had. And it never went away. Even now, today, I still I still get that dirty feeling that I had then. And I've always been a believer in when somebody says no, they mean no. And so when somebody tells me no, okay, no. I mean, if you don't mean no, you better tell me yes, because if you tell me no, that's it. There's nothing else going to happen between me and you ever. I'm not going to force myself up on anybody, because I've had not just forced, but literally raped on my behalf, and I'm just not going to let that. I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to be the person that rapes somebody. I'm not going to be that person who destroys somebody's emotional well-being for the rest of their life, because it does stay with you. Even though you may get out and laugh, even though you may go out in public again, there's always that torture that somebody forced you to do something you did not want to do. And I consider myself very lucky that I was not HIV positive at that time, because when I was 20 years old, it was the beginning of the AIDS epidemic. And I could have very easily gotten HIV or even AIDS at that point in time, and my life could have been over by my mid-20s. So if I want to, quote, find a silver lining in that would be silver lining, was that I was not infected that early into the epidemic of HIV and AIDS. When?
You're ready for me. Because I'm fixing to talk your ear off.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of start out with the way my story was, and tie in a couple of other things. I talked to some people offline, and going to try to implement some of those comments that I've had this week with a couple of people over this topic. So, for me, abuse and sexual assault were at different times. So, the first time when I was younger, I was probably 3 years old, and I don't know how you classify it. It wasn't necessarily was I touched. I was forced to touch a man and masturbate him and things like that. So I didn't have any type of feeling that set something off inside just yet. Once I got older, the first time I think I would have been in probably about the 3rd grade, that I was sexually assaulted by a man in the neighborhood. And one of the things that I had talked off the meeting with some other people is someone asked me, well, do you think that being because you were sexually assaulted or had molested at that time, do you think that it might have made you gay? Because this conversation that we had was like, he had never had anything like that happen to him. He was gay, but other people that had been molested would get really upset and say that they would kind of attack him because he didn't understand the feeling. So my personal opinion on that is, I think you have every right to feel the way that you feel in your unique situation. For me, I don't think that it caused me to be gay. I think, let me go on and we're going to come back to that. Hold that thought kind of. I'm going to do a story, but I'm going to do the Rachel Maddow picture where we do a big circle and come back to it. So again, I got into the 7th grade, and that's when I was first sexually assaulted. And the way that it happened is we were in this room, I was in band, and you would leave the band room, you would have to go into the student center to get into a restroom. And a guy sexually assaulted me. Well, I said, he sexually assaulted me in the bathroom. Well, technically it wasn't in the bathroom, it was at the water fountain inside of the student center that you had to go to the bathroom within. So then I was coined a liar. And I was forced to go to church and tell everybody that I had lied. And I have the high school principal turn on me. And I don't know why my parents handled it the way that they did. They just allowed it to happen like that. And so I was shamed in church. So for a very, very long time, I don't want to say I had a guilt, but I had a rage. And the rage was, so then I was going, ha ha ha, the gay fag guy all the time, my entire life, growing up in this little bitty town of 3,500 people. And when I started out to college, of course I started dating my first boyfriend and things like that. And these PTSD issues would come up because then there was a lot of trauma that went on with my family, the way I was raised and things like that. So I started drinking real heavy, and then I started also, addiction to drinking, and then I got into cocaine, and that, boom, fed into a 25-year long span of constant addiction and active use. And I finally started loving myself about 8 to 10 years ago is when I finally started sticking with a psychiatrist because I knew that I needed help. I knew that I needed to be in counseling, and obviously methamphetamine, meth, alcohol, cocaine were a band-aid on not a sore, but a really bad cut that needed to be stitched up and healed. So once I started getting in, again, back like I said, that self-love, I started realizing things, and I think a lot of, so again, this is going to be my own opinion, how I think about this, and I think that everybody is entitled to their own opinion on how their trauma and abuse happened to them. No one can tell you how you feel, no one can tell you how you should feel, and no one can say, oh, I understand, because they don't. Your story is unique to you and to you only. It might be similar to someone else, but it's yours and yours only. And so, as I started getting this help, I started realizing, again, the person that I'm addressing online, that I've been talking to about the subject, about that, well, did it make you gay? My personal opinion, Ken, no. I think what happens is if we start showing attributes when we were little. I knew in kindergarten something wasn't right. Well, I don't want to say it wasn't right, that I was different, because I didn't do this and this and this. I had Maurice, my little friend, I call him my boyfriend in kindergarten now, my little friend Maurice, that I was his shadow for 3 years, all the way up into the 2nd grade, right? And let me tell you, I could double Dutch rope better than any girl in town.
I agree with you on this. I don't think sexual assault makes a person gay.
Yeah.
Because I was already gay
Yes.
when I was raped.
And the point that I was making with that, like you said, is, so I'm showing all these attributes of a young gay child. I mean, we've seen many children that have never had sex, don't know what it is, and, we'll laugh and giggle to ourselves, go, in 10 years we'll see that one at the bar, just because. So, I think usually, or not usually, in my opinion again, I think that someone that molests children or assaults children, I think they look for that not a weakness, they see that attribute in especially say if it's a man going after a young boy, they prey on those that they can see those signs in already. And then what happens is, they do something physical that triggers something in the mind that, hey, I like this, but your body's not actually, your physical body has not matched up with your emotional body yet. And, I think that's why, there's a standard that, hey, 18 and under, that they come up with psychology and stuff like that. So, that's how I think. I know it didn't affect me. I'm looking at what Sylvia said. Sylvia said, I understand the rage. Yes, it caused a lot of rage for me. And I think it caused rage for me because I was shamed for such a long time. When I kind of started coming out, I was disowned by my family. I had no family support for 22 years. And there was a situation where I did, for about a year, I was able to have a little bit of a relationship with my father and my mother, kind of. And she kept asking me, well, what about? And I kept saying, and I learned, I almost said the F word. It's like I was getting mad. So I learned, as I went back to the town, I'm 45 years old, or 41 at the time. I still was really good in my profession, what I was doing in San Antonio. I had so many things to be proud of. I had done San Antonio Living 2 times in the morning. I had done the morning show with Fox 29 because of the way I do catering and things like that. And I would go back, and I still, in that little town, was shamed because I was the gay guy. And I was like, hell no. You raped me, and you still get to be the outstanding citizen because you were the mayor of this little crap hole, and you're on the school board and all that. So I started going back to the town, and I started telling everybody that I could get to stop and listen to 30 seconds of my story. And I started telling Orlando, what is his damn last name? Orlando Perez raped me. And he was always nasty to me and with, fag, whatever. I'm like, you're the one that likes little boys, not me, because this guy was about, I think, 15 years older than me. And my mother was like, oh, he has a family now. I don't give a damn what he has. He rapes little boys. It has ruined my life. I'm still dealing with addiction and things like that. And why do you get to prance around town and be the star? And so I put my foot down, and I think the biggest thing, again, my personal opinion, take that rage and channel it into, call them out on their shit. Call them out. Take away their power. Because they put us with all this shame and, they're going to call you fat or this and that. You like to put any little boys' backsides. You're the sicko, not an adult making a sexual choice. You're pinning someone down, And then, like I said, having to stand up in front of the church and tell everybody that I lied because technically I was not inside the restroom. And I said it happened in the restroom. I'm going to quit bitching for a little bit. You got to calm down. I'm getting pissed. And I'm trying not to say the F word and trying not to cuss, and it's very hard. I'm just going to look at some of the comments real quick. So, and just see if you want.
Go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah, a quick question for you, Wayne.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
You believe that because of the assault that you started using your drug, that started your drug addiction problem?
Yeah, for me, I was one of the statistics. Yes, it did start substance abuse. Yeah.
Because you mentioned statistics. I think Mr. Santiago has a couple of statistics. You mentioned age group statistics earlier. What? Come on.
No, because my phone.
Hey, before you do that, read the statistic real quick that you posted about the 10 states. I don't know if people were looking at the comments.
I could barely read.
Oh, sorry guys, I forgot. He had his eyes dilated just a little bit before this. So he posted, I found this strange. Texas is not in here, but I find it even more strange that my home state is in here. So, Alaska, 161.60 people are molested or assaulted per 100,000. Michigan, 96 people per 100,000. Nevada, 76 per 100,000. Arkansas, 72 persons per 100,000. Colorado, 71 per 100,000. South Dakota, 69 per 100,000. New Mexico, 64 to 100,000. Nebraska, 63 to 100,000. Oklahoma, 58 to 100,000. And Utah, 55 to 100,000. I guess in my town there must have been a lot of them on my block because I know at least 5 of them when I was molested or raped by about 3 of them. I think you were talking.
You're talking about child sexual assault nationwide. Child sexual abuse accounts for, is about 16% for males and 27% for females, and that's in the USA. And that's child. And if you combine those two together, that's pretty close to half of the abuse is children, people under age 18, who are sexually abused by pedophiles. Remember, I was also looking at this was an article on does abuse make you gay or not? That, let me find these numbers again. That out of those numbers, only 1.5% of the population of those numbers are people who identify themselves as LGBT. So that's a pretty small percentage of people who are LGBT who have been sexually assaulted. So that again goes to the question, does sexual assaulting make you gay or not? I don't believe it does.
I don't believe it does
I don't either. And again, that's just my opinion. That's my opinion and my personal situation.
You said
everybody can be the same.
I want to point out, I talked about the crisis numbers at the beginning of the broadcast. None of us here are mental health professionals. I mean, I took a couple of courses in psychology when I was in college because I had to have it for my degree in education. Doesn't make me in any way, shape, or form a professional. If you are having an issue with sexual assault, please look at our page because I did list those numbers. There's a crisis center here. I listed a number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There's a sexual abuse sexual assault hotline number that's also been posted. So if you do have any issues like that, especially if you've recently been assaulted, contact one of these professionals to talk to. If you have a counselor or a psychologist that you talk to them as well.
Or what I was going to say is, again tonight, I'll have someone post my phone number. You don't have to tell me who it is. You can just text me a number and I will answer it back and I can lead you in the direction of different resources that are available and people that you can talk to. You don't have to have insurance. There's different grants, and I can tell you exactly what 3 questions they would ask you that would qualify for you to get in on that grant. So, if that helps out, let me know.
People, don't forget, we do have an anonymous page. So if you feel like you're going to be judged, and trust me, you're not going to get judged, but you want to talk about this situation anonymously, hey, please do so. There is a link attached to our program today. And if you want to ask us a question, again, you're anonymous, and we will try to answer it best to our ability.
The name, that link, when they look for that link, it's one long word, go to meeting.
Do they need a password to get on?
Not if you follow the link.
Okay. Just want to be sure. Okay, this is my turn. Let's see, where should I start? When I was young, I was sexually assaulted by someone. I'm not going to mention names. He's no longer here, but still. chose not to. That's when I was younger. And it went on for about, I would say, 2 years. And no one knew about it, because of course I didn't say anything. Of course he threatened me, threatened my family, blah, 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 the way it goes. I was really young. I was 9 when it happened. But the one I want to talk about is the one that happened about 16 years ago. I'm a big boy. One of my exes, at the time he was an ex, he was still living with me, had no clue that he was HIV positive. We were together for about 3.5 years. In those 3.5 years, he went to go get tested, and he will always bring me a negative response. And thinking that he was negative, I didn't worry about anything. Yeah, we still use protection, because I knew what was out there. Did I trust my boyfriend at the time? No, I did not. And that relates to what happened to me when I was younger, that I lost trust in guys. I could love someone, but can I trust them? Most likely not. Basically what happened was I got home and he was doing coke on the coffee table. And I didn't even realize that he did drugs. That was the first time I ever saw him do drugs. And basically I turned around and he knocked the shit out of me. And he beat the shit out of me and he basically raped me. And I remember the words he told me, he will always be inside of me, not knowing what he meant at the moment. The next day, I went to a funeral. It sucked because I did not know if it was because I lost a loved one or because he was, every time someone would hold me, hug me, it hurt like that. It was difficult. He moved out. Cops were called. He was told to leave. I couldn't press charges because at the time it was a gay thing, and the cops did not know how to deal with it. That was their excuse. So I let it be. A year later, found out I was HIV positive, and the whole year that I was not with him. I wasn't with nobody. I was by myself. I didn't trust nobody. I did not have sex, kiss, hold hands with nobody. It was difficult. I took care of the problem my way, the way I knew, but I did ask him. He was positive, and he finally told me yes, and I asked him how long, and he said he was positive for about 6 years. And I asked him, why did he not tell me? And because he turned around and told me because he knew if he would have told me, I would not date him, would not be with him. And that's not true. I've been with people who spin positive. I know how to take care of myself. I would still would have been with him. But I asked him those words that he told me, if that's what he meant, that I was HIV positive now, that I had to be with him. And he said yes. He said nobody's going to love me, nobody's going to want to be with me. And of course that's not true. I've been with some amazing people, wonderful people since. My last boyfriend, Gilbert, has been there for me. He knows what I've gone through. He's supported me from the beginning and to the end. And to this moment, he still supports me. And I'm grateful for that. But what sucks is, it affected me that it's hard for me to trust someone. It's hard for me to sleep with someone. And because in the back of my head, I still feel that the person I'm with will be John, will turn out to be John. And that's his name, John or whatever. Do I forgive him? Yes, I have. And he still calls me. He asks, every once in a while he'll call me, ask me how I'm doing. I will talk to him. I learned to forgive. but not to forget. It's difficult, but it's who I am now. It affected my relationships going forward. Do I want to be with someone now? No, I don't. I hate when people lie to me. I hate when people tell me they're being honest and truthful, and they're not. It reminds me of what I've gone through. And everything, and I don't know if it's right or wrong of me to do this, but everybody I'm with, I see John. And I feel it's gonna be the same situation. But I don't know how to deal with it. I am talking to someone, a psychiatrist, and I'm working on a problem, and it's difficult. But part of me just wants to leave and not come back. I hate San Antonio because of that. And I don't want to be here anymore. But this is home. I do plan to take a vacation here pretty soon to get away. And mentally, I've been going through a lot recently. Been having panic attacks at night. We're trying to figure out what's going on. But everything's relating back to John, to what I've gone. Why is it coming back and this strong? I have no clue. That's what we're trying to figure out. But it's killing me in a sense that it's ruined my life, ruined my relationships. But I'm still trying to deal with it. And I had someone I talked to, used to talk to before, I no longer talk to this person. And I really don't talk about it too much, but one night, this person was there and I was talking to this person. And I'm not gonna mention his name, but he asked me if I enjoyed it. And I looked at him and I just told him to get the hell out of my house. And it's not something that you enjoy. It's something that will fuck you up, basically screw your life. It's something that will control you to the end. To me, I don't think there's hope unless I leave. That's how I really feel. But I cannot let this win and just move somewhere else and think it's gonna be okay. I need to deal with it head on. But everybody's different. I don't know why it was more painful what happened 15 years ago to what happened when I was 9 years old, but it is, and that's what I'm dealing with. A few of you guys notice a big difference in me, but that's what's going on. And it hurts, but I gotta deal with it. So that's where I stand.
You feel like that has, or it sounds like you feel like that specific event has affected you in the way that you trust people overall, period.
Yeah, it has.
And that's true with me too. I'm very cautious about trusting somebody. And I'm not just talking about in a relationship situation. I mean overall, period, about anything. It affects the way I trust and believe in people. So I mean, everybody has to prove to me that they're worthy of my trust now. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, sure. I do, and it sucks because it affected my last relationship with Gilbert.
Did it also affect your relationship with your friends too?
Yes, it does. It does. I try to stay away as much as possible. I love the group. Don't get me wrong, I do. But sometimes I just want to run away. and it's more often than I could imagine, or more than I thought it was.
Do you feel that trust issue also sabotages all those things for you?
Say again?
Does it sabotage your relationships both as friends and your?
Oh, yes, it does. It does.
And I know for me too, it's, I'm pretty sure maybe Wayne feels the same way. I think I self-destruct sometimes. Because of
I'm
that.
not on worse than me.
I will suddenly self-destruct, I'll personally sabotage a relationship just because my trust issues or distrust issues are so strong. So,
Any questions out there at all?
yes, do y'all have any questions for any of us?
It was hard for y'all to speak today, and I do appreciate y'all sharing. I know it took a lot out of y'all. I can see it in y'all's face. I can see it in Mark's face right now. Hopefully by y'all opening up and sharing what happened to y'all, that more people are willing to open up. Because, again, look at our ages. We're pretty much 50, except for you, Jace. You're a little bit older. But, for men our age to speak about it on a sexual assault like that, especially a man on man, it's rough, and there's statistics even with women raping men, Sorry, my phone just died, so I can't give you those numbers. I'll try to post them in a few minutes. But it's pretty high as well. Even college kids, I was reading, their chances of being raped in college is 5 times stronger than it is just a normal guy being raped. But let me bring this up too. Race of perpetrators, 50%, 57% is white, 27% is black, 8% is unknown ethnicity, 6% is other, and 1% is mixed.
You had mentioned, talking about the color, race, you also mentioned earlier that the majority of sexual assault victims are women, and out of those women, the majority of those are women of color who are sexually assaulted. And I don't know if that's, I don't know how I want to word this. I think people choose women of color because they feel like they are more vulnerable, maybe. I think that's how I want to word this.
That could be it.
And not just women, but you'll probably find that men who have been assaulted, probably the majority of them are men of color. And again, probably think they're more vulnerable.
And they are more vulnerable because they won't say anything at the end. If something happens to them, again, look at y'all, like Mark, that was assaulted at age 9. For him to say something and to be believed or not believed, or even like Wayne, it's hard, especially when you're Latino. When you tell your parents and they hush it, there's like, don't say anything about it, don't talk about it. This stays between the family. You don't say anything about that. And yeah, you're right. Again, it goes to the machismo. Half of the perpetrators are of age 30 or older. 50% are 30 and older. 25% are 21 to 29. 9% are 18 to 20. And 15% are 17 or younger.
Perpetrators?
Yes, perpetrators. Somebody brought something up earlier, and I was reading it, that, he had a friend, and they were playing with each other, kind of like a peekaboo. That's, I'll show you yours, you show me mine, when they were kids. A lot of kids, and I've read that it's happened to, and it's changed them in a certain way that they start questioning themselves. I'm not saying they did it for all of them, but a few grow up as like, when I was 7, I saw somebody's dick and I played with it. Am I gay now? And so they question themselves the rest of their life. Versus some just don't think about it. Hey, we were kids, we were in the Boy Scouts, we did this, that, and the third. Again, for y'all to share this, I'm hoping that other people will step up and share their experience, not because we need to know, but for self-healing for themselves, because they do have to heal. We all have to heal. Something like this we shouldn't take it lightly. If you're gay, you're straight, transgender, an assault is an assault. And we need to take care of that person. It doesn't matter if they're Hispanic, Black, white, Asians. That is a human being that's being assaulted.
That's a human being that's been treated like they're less than, and they're not less than. That is one thing I did have to overcome, is that feeling of being less than. And I can honestly say that I don't feel that way anymore. I do still have my moments of feeling dirty, but I don't ever feel like I'm less than because of what these men did to me.
Any other comments?
No, but Wayne has a conversation going on. Yeah, I'm trying to keep. Sorry, no, I'm listening. I'm just talking to her. It's. I love doing this, but sometimes it's hard. I'm real big on not big on the texting thing. Like when I'm texting, sometimes I misunderstand things, and so I'm answering something back, and it's like, no. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. It's like, I'll call you on the phone before the next time, because then I'll understand for sure. I get confused on texting and messaging sometimes, you know what I mean? If I don't physically hear the voice.
How did you feel after you were assaulted? And how did that? I don't know. I
don't even know if I can even tell you how I felt, because for 25 years I self-medicated. It was like heavy. It was so funny. I was like, I'm not an alcoholic. I could drink an 18-pack by myself in one night with a lot of dope going in my nose also.
I'm going to try to post the links as well as not just information, but here's men and boys are also affected by sexual violence. Here it is. I actually found it. Non-students age 18 to 24, college students 18 to 24. I mean, it's like I said, the college students, you're looking at 5 times more likely to get assaulted. And I'm not going to say it's just women, but sometimes you see those college football players or basketball players that are assaulted not only by maybe a member of their team, but also by the women or by the girls.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, can someone look up to see the numbers of females sexually assaulting men? I mean, because
that's a thing, believe it or not.
Yeah, and I had that, but one of my phones died, so I couldn't bring that up. But millions of men in the United States have been victims of rape. As of 1998, 2.78 million men in the U.S. have been victims of attempted or completed rape. About 3% of American men, or 1 in every 33 men, have experienced an attempt or completed rape in their lifetime. 1 out of every 10 rape victims are males. This also add this. This says transgender students are at a higher risk for sexual violence. 21% of TGQN, which means transgender, genderqueer, non-conforming college students have been sexually assaulted, compared to 18% of non-TGQN females and 4% of non-TGQN males. So sexual assaults can have a long-term effect on victims. Maybe not at that moment, but later on in life, it will affect them. They might get that flashback, and just like PTSD, which is pretty much the same thing. You don't think about it. You put it way in the back of your mind, and you don't think about it for years and years and years. And then, hey, there's a trigger, and then you think about it. Oh my God, I remember this. I remember that. You were denied it the whole time, but it did happen. So, like I said earlier, I do thank you, Jace, Mark, and Wayne for sharing, and this, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. this is only 3 men here in San Antonio. You know, unfortunately, we couldn't find any women, straight women or transgender to be on this panel to talk about this today. But
And for some, and especially for women, and for men, you know, the fact that 3 of us are sitting up here, a lot of times it goes to, they don't feel like there's ever going to be any justice from their case. So they don't even want to talk about it. Talking about justice, a lot of times men will not report their sexual assaults, again, whether it's by a woman or by another man.
I think they don't.
Simply
report it
because
because
the
a lot of
police
times
ignore
it doesn't happen. A lot of us say it doesn't happen to men.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
And when it is reported to the police, like in Mark's case, that is,
I'm just going to add,
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
I'm reading your comment here that Milton put, and I was like, and I would another time like to revisit this conversation again and balance it out a little more. So I would like to have someone that was not sexually assaulted or molested, and when we're on that one topic we were talking about, does it, what's the word I'm looking for? Does it make the direction of what your sexuality might be? I would like to hear from you know, different men and women, you know, or especially guys, I guess, because we would say, a lot of men say, oh, I was molested, that made me gay, and a lot of people weren't like Jay said, no, they didn't. And we'll balance it out a little more and have that conversation.
because we have seen the news where you see women, older women, pretty much molesting children. And what I mean by children, I'm talking about 12, 13, 11, 10-year-old little children.
I want to point out that Sylvia said that she's okay talking about her. I'm going to assume that she was at some point sexually assaulted. I would like to have her speak to us at some point, just to give us her point of view and her feelings and relate to how she dealt with it as well. I think a lot of how you deal with what happens to you after sexual assault goes to how you dealt with it. In my case, it took 18 months before I even wanted to be around anybody. I think as soon as you start holding the person who committed the act against you responsible instead of yourself, that's when you start to heal. And in my case, that was about 18 months. That's when I decided those 3 assholes were the ones that were responsible, not me. They were the ones who forced themselves on me. I didn't put myself out there to let them, rip me apart.
Right.
It was them, not me. And I think once you get to that point, and again, when you get to that point from talking to a professional or working through it for yourself, you're going to have to get to that point at some point in time. And I don't know if Mark's reached that point yet. I don't know if Wayne's reached that point, but I have. It was not my fault. It was those jackasses' fault. And I know for a fact that I'm never going to let that happen to me again. I'm never going to let myself be put in that position again. And if I see the signs of those circumstances, I'm going to walk away and get out.
I think for me, it's, I use it as a tool of, I don't want to say survival now. For me, I'm at the point where I have no problems talking about it because, even as much as I had a lady, this kind of a little bit off topic, but I had a lady, that I was working with, and her 2 children had been molested and were HIV positive at the age of 16. And she goes, well, what would you do? I said, you know what I would do? I'd be circling the block. I would get on Grindr and I would start looking how close men are to me, and I would find out who had sex with my 2 sons that made them HIV positive. And that's where I stand. Tell your story. There's nothing, to me, the way that you're made by the perpetrator to feel guilty and all this, the thing is, look at it this way. If someone went out and murdered someone, would you say, oh, don't tell me like he murdered them? Don't tell me same thing. No, tell them who the perpetrator is and who likes little kids and hurts children.
That's a good analogy, murdering, because when you're sexually assaulted, part of you is murder.
Yeah.
Part of your soul, part of your spirit, part of your heart.
There's not that first time sexual experience where it is consensual between 2 people. It was stolen from you, and then you tend to not even really know, especially, you know, if it's aggressive like it was with me and you, then you get to where you don't even know how to even approach sex, because that's what your body knows. And that's why I always say, you know, things are triggered when you're a younger child, things are triggered where your mind and your physical are not met up. And that's why there is this barrier. This is adult and this is child.
You mentioned that that's your view of sex. And actually, I think that's what happens to you when you're assaulted. You don't become gay, you're already gay. But your view of how you should have sex
Yes.
is influenced by the sexual assault, especially when you're a younger child or a younger adult.
So when I did have a little bit of a relationship with my mother for the year, that 1 year, I would go back and we were sitting and I realized I remember said something. I said, "That child's been molested." How do you know? I said, I can pick up a molester and I can pick up a child that's been abused from a mile away, just like that. It's like textbook of the, what's the word I'm looking for, not personalities, the behaviors that come about after a child has been sexually molested. Again, like I said, you turn something on that's not supposed to be turned on at that time. And a lot of the things you'll see is the way a child interacts with another child. A child that has been sexually abused will turn and will try to act out on another child. Behavior, depression, there's so many things, and I think people just don't open their eyes, or it's a discussion, it's a taboo, it's a really, really hard discussion to discuss, especially with it being a child. But that being said, at the age of someone else, assault is assault no matter what the age is. It causes the same amount of pain. It causes addiction issues. It causes PTSD, which are the flashbacks, the horrible anxiety dreams, waking up in the middle of the night, jolted from your sleep, and you're covered in sweat and you can't hardly catch your breath, because that's what it does. That's why it's called assault, because you are assaulted.
About child assaults?
I'm sorry?
You still have nightmares about your assault?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time.
I have, because, I don't know if it's because I knew I was going to be talking about this today or not, but last night I did have a very realistic nightmare about the assault.
Here's some other numbers. In 2011 survey of 302 male college students, it found that 51.2% reported at least one sexual victimization experience since the age of 16. In 2014, study of 284 men and boys in college and high school found that 43% reported being sexually coerced, with the majority of coercion incidents resulting in unwanted sexual intercourse. Of them, 95% reported only women perpetrators. So what do y'all think about that?
Run those, say that again. I was typing, I'm sorry.
You know what's so funny is all three of us are totally off.
Yeah.
Think of our own.
Yeah, and you know what, and
bring this up, then you start thinking about your situation. I don't want to say it's well, I don't know, it can be traumatic for one.
And again,
for me, it's not at the moment, but I'm thinking, really into this. And
again, this topic for today was not to trigger any emotion on anybody. It's to let you know you're not alone. This has happened to the three individuals in front of me, Mark, Jace, and Wayne. So we are here to talk about it. We're not here to judge you. We could talk about it, have a cup of coffee, have a beer, have a shot of whiskey, whatever, and talk. We're here. If you need a shoulder, we got you. But we will also put phone numbers online in a few minutes. If y'all need to talk to somebody that's a professional, hey, go about it. You can always do it anonymously. You don't have to tell them your name and everything, but you can just talk to somebody that's going to listen. Again, we're here to listen to you.
Earlier, and we'll repost them.
Right. Like I said earlier, since Jace wasn't paying attention, 2014 study of them, 95% reported only female perpetrators.
What percentage again?
95%
5%.
were women. The women were the perpetrators. So again, this is in high school. This is in college.
You said this from 2014?
2014. I couldn't find the numbers for.
Probably have changed a little bit.
Right.
But if you had done this same study, say 50 years before, you might have found that 95% might have only been 15%. And a lot of it has to do with, I think, as our society has changed, women have become more aggressive. And I think it's something that they have learned from our society to, if they want to get ahead, they have to be more aggressive. And in the process, they have taken on a lot of aggressive attitudes that men have had, such as being sexually forward or being aggressive in a sexual situation to the point of even rape. Whereas before it would have been more men who would have done that. So I think a lot of our societal attitude and changes have affected those numbers. I mean, 10 years from now, maybe 98% of the women are reported as the aggressors. So,
Okay, on that note, we're gonna end tonight's, here's positive. Wayne, I, Jay, Santiago are here for you guys. If you guys need to talk to someone, hit us up. Some of us do put our numbers up and some of us don't. But if you can reach some certain people through Messenger, talk to them that way. But I just posted my number. I know Wayne well, pretty soon, and I know Jace well too. If we will bring this subject up another time. If anybody wants to be on a panel and talk, you're more welcome to. Just let us know. That goes, I don't care if you're straight, gay, bi, or trans, what have you, you're always welcome. If you have a topic that you want us to discuss and you want to be part of it, just let us know and we'll make it happen.
All our topics do not have to be gay related. We could talk about straight topics, transgender topics, lesbian topics. I don't know if that's the right verbiage.
we would love to have.
We would like to have those conversations for y'all, but we need more involvement from y'all too. As you know, most of us are not straight, or not straight anymore. So we can't really answer some of those questions for you. But if you would like to come up here soon, and we will be opening the doors to the public within 2 weeks.
Yes, the second Tuesday of October.
Which is the 13th.
It's October, right?
Yeah, October.
Yes.
That'll be October 13th.
October 13th. We are going to have limited seating, and we still are practicing social distancing.
And you have to wear a mask.
Yes.
And
We will take temperatures at the door. Go on.
every time I talk, you start talking. I go, hey, Mark, I need to talk to you. Or Jace, I need to tell you something. I didn't like your topic. Or I wish you would have got more in depth. Wayne, you make some pretty good cakes. I'm trying to make fun of this because we were in a very serious conversation. And again, it may have been triggered for some people. And it's not a laughing matter. It is a serious issue. But at the same time, I don't want to see any of my friends depressed. I don't want to see Mark depressed right now. I want to cheer him up. Truthfully, I just want to stand up right now and give him a big old hug. My big old burly bear. But, I'm right here watching the camera, but all these men know that I love them. They're like my stepbrothers, my redheaded sisters, stuff like that. And understand, if you're in our circle, even if you're not in our circle, we still love you. We can't wait to see all of y'all in 2 weeks. But we do appreciate you logging in and watching us. And please share this. And also watch we will be posting something on Instagram in a few minutes and also on YouTube. The links will be provided underneath once we're done here, but we appreciate y'all coming in and we love y'all.
You want to say anything for us?
I was, but I forgot what it was. I'm just getting old, so. Next week's topics, and these may change, will be ghosting. And did we decide on being gay in the military? I think that may be the two. I don't know.
I think we should hold on that one until
Okay.
we get the other person confirmed to come in.
Okay. It
But-
may be next week, or maybe even a week or two past that.
Those
Oh.
two definitely will be one
In
of the
fact,
topics.
on the 20th, right now, we have scheduled Stacy, I've forgotten Stacy's last name.
Joffrey.
Joffrey, who is a counselor at the Fax Clinic. She's going to come in and talk to us about mental health on the 20th.
Dual diagnosed addiction and mental health.
Addiction and mental health, okay. And also I want to mention, this was what I wanted, she also has a grant called Strong Arm, which is open to anybody who is HIV positive or at risk of contracting HIV and has an addiction of some kind, of some type of drug, alcohol, whatever.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Tracy. It doesn't necessarily have to be addiction. But
Yeah.
ask me, and I know the 3 questions that can get you into the program.
Yeah.
And that she knows. We talk
And-
about this. There's ways of getting in.
We will be posting her
Yeah.
email address, so you can contact her, as well as you can contact the main number there at the Fax Clinic, 385-3710, I think is what.
Yes,
it is.
385-3710.
We'll double check that, and we'll post that also.
Preferably if you're a client that works for you.
No, say that again?
I mean, if you're a client, yes, that would be great. If you're one of our clients at
No,
Fax.
actually, no, it's open to everyone.
Call that phone number.
Oh, for the strong arm.
For strong.
Strong arm or one of her clients. All you have to do is call that number and you'll get a screening. And the person that does the screening will then get you there. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be addiction. It could say, okay, this situation wants to make me start drinking or wants to make me start smoking. You can still get in on that program under that grant.
And you don't have to necessarily be HIV positive, but you do have to be somebody who is severely at risk,
At a high risk.
at a high risk of becoming infected, so.
Okay, I have an announcement. This Friday here, we're on Point. Please, doors open at 7. I want to say 7. We have a drag show going on. Does anybody remember the name of the drag show? Trick something?
Trick-a-hoe, something like that.
Oh. If you can look it up quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up over because
Set it up also on my Facebook and I'm Living Positive. You can buy your tickets online for $15 right now. It's a limited sitting. You have to wear a mask when you come in the building. What else? I think that's it going on. And I want to thank Wayne, Jay, Santiago, and Caesar for being here tonight, helping us with this. And I think that's all I have. I want to thank Woodlawn Point for having us here. Anybody else has anything to say?
Happy Taco Tuesday.
I'm trying to look up.
Well, then we're trying to look up.
It's not coming. It's Drag Me to Church is on there.
Let me see if I can find it.
we're trying to find this real quick, so we're rushing.
Yeah, we're rushing. I know I posted it somewhere.
So we're going back to Taqueria Data Point.
United Tricks. It's called United Tricks. It's being hosted by Christy Waters and Jose de la Hoya. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. It's October the 2nd. It's $15 to enter, like I said. You buy your tickets online. You can buy them on the door too. So it will be here at Woodlawn Point at 702 Donaldson, correct?
Yes.
It will be here at Woodlawn Point. That's all I have to say.
Remember to register to vote.
Yes.
And vote.
Yes.
Don't just register, make sure you vote.
Early voting starts on the 3rd.
And the last day to register is October 5th.
On that note, we say goodbye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, y'all. I don't know how to turn this off.
As far as the city is concerned, they say,
Oh, can't see it either. Why
At
don't?
some point, 10 years ago or so, she said the president and the Senate is elected.